Hey guys, welcome to Rosie's Dessert Spot. In this tutorial we'll be making this geometric-ish triangular fondant cake. I've used a red velvet cake as per my brother's request, this was for his birthday, filled with cream cheese frosting. Recipe for all of these, including the buttercream used on the outside, will be linked in the description box and the eye icon up top. Knowing that the filling was going to be really soft, I decided to add that extra ring of frosting that you can see there, just to trap everything in to ensure it doesn't end up on the outside of my cake or make my cake layers super unstable. I decided to use all vegetable shortening for the outside as well, rather than mixing in butter, just so I get a nice white crisp frosting color. Make sure that you smooth that cream cheese frosting nice and flat, just to ensure that it's all level. I've used two 5-inch cakes for this, cut in half, so I had 4 layers of cake in total. Create a crumb coat. This is going to be a thinner layer of frosting all around the outside of your cake to trap in any crumbs. Because the icing is really soft, I decided to microwave this icing just for about 10 or so seconds, and that way it softens out and I don't have to add as much pressure when I smooth everything out. If it was super stiff and you had to add a lot of pressure, your cake layers will start dancing around and you'll end up with a wonky cake. Bring that lip of frosting to the center and then refrigerate your cake for at least 20 minutes to an hour. Once it's nice and set, add on your final layer of frosting. I like to start at the top and then work my way out the sides. This is a little bit thicker than our other coat that we did before, the crumb coat. Smooth it out completely, bring that lip of frosting to the center, and we want this to set really hard. So I pop mine in the freezer for an hour. If you can't fit it in the freezer, let it stay in your fridge overnight so the frosting sets nicely. This is regular Bakels fondant that I've used here, coloured with some gel food colour. Roll it to about 2 or so millimeters in thickness and then use a triangular cutter to cut out all of your triangles. I bought mine on eBay. Kind of pounce it and rub it all over to make sure that the triangles have cut nicely. Give it a bit of a pounce over the top so they all come out, and then create 2 other colours. I've gone with a darker yellow, a medium yellow, and a white. Once all your shapes have been cut, let them sit on your countertop for about 10 to 15 minutes, just so that they have the chance to harden and they don't misshape when you're trying to apply them onto your cake. I've brushed on a very thin amount of water all over my buttercream cake, and then I'm sticking my fondant over the top. The water will activate the sugar in the fondant and create a nice sticky base for it to just kind of attach to your cake. Try to create a bit of an ombre, so I've got my darker and my medium shade of triangles at the base, working my way up to the middle. I'm also alternating the colours so I don't have too much of one shade in one spot and then making it look a little bit odd. As you reach the middle of your cake, you can start alternating the colours to the lighter shades. So it's darkest at the bottom, and then as you reach the top, it becomes lighter and lighter. There's really no specific method to this. I tried to make it as random as I possibly could, so you couldn't really get any blotches of colours all in one spot. What I did find though was that I had a lip at the very top of my cake that was bare. You want to continue building on this, as odd as it might look as you're applying it all on in the process. There's going to be a whole bunch of fondant just overlapping the top. Don't stress about that, we will be cutting it off later with a super sharp knife or a spatula. If it helps you, pop your cake into the fridge at this point once everything has been laid over the top. This will make sure that the fondant is nice and firm, and as you're cutting it, it'll cut sharply. You won't get any of those little frilly pieces on your fondant. If your fondant does sweat from the fridge, no stress. At room temperature, it should dry up within an hour or so. I also took a fondant smoother with some baking paper and I just smoothed it all out just to ensure if there was any areas that were raised or a bit wonky, it was all nice and flat. It became all nice and flat. While that's resting, I've taken some chocolate and oil, mixed it together with a drop of gel food color, and then I am spreading it out onto aluminium. You could use aluminium foil or you could use baking paper. Each one has its own unique stylistic effect. The aluminium gives it a whole bunch of different faces. So as it crinkles, that crinkle will transfer to your chocolate and give it a really cool dynamic look. Pop it into a bowl and then into your freezer to set for about 10 or so minutes. If you wanted something a little neater, you could use baking paper instead. And here I've used a little bit more oil so it was a bit more fluid, and I let gravity shape my chocolate cup. Same as before, we're going to pop it into a bowl, make sure it's nicely indented in there, nice and deep. And then after a good 10 minutes, you can gently remove the foil from your chocolate. It should look a little something like this. Baking paper will come off a whole lot easier and it just looks a bit neater. Stick it to your cake with a little bit of frosting underneath so it doesn't move anywhere, and then fill in with whatever you like. I've chosen some Maltesers, popcorn and Ferrero Rochers. And you're done! I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and give it a go. I decided to put my fondant on buttercream, but you can totally cover your cake completely in fondant and then stick your triangles onto a fondant covered cake instead. Totally up to you though. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. We do upload new tutorials every week. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.